Saturday night at Kansas, Brandon Jones was running the perfect race. One stage 1, one stage 2. The guy has 3 career Kansas wins on his resume. This track is his playground. And then a 21-year-old kid named Taylor Gray, a driver who's been spun out of more wins than he's actually won, took him down in the closing laps and stole the Kansas Lottery 300, a teammate beating a teammate, a rookie-turned-hunter finally closing the deal. 2 career wins now instead of 0. Here's exactly how Taylor Gray rewrote his entire career story in one Saturday night. If you don't know the Taylor Gray story, stop scrolling, because what just happened at Kansas is the most important race of his young career. And I promise you, the context behind this win is going to change how you see every rising JGR development driver going forward. Taylor Gray is 21 years old, per his Wikipedia profile. Born March 25, 2005, in Denver, North Carolina. Though essentially sports describes him as a product of drag racing heritage, sharpened by short track experience. He started racing late models at age 12. Won his first late model race at age 12. By age 14, he had 3 career wins at Hickory Motor Speedway, one of them coming in a race where he led all 200 laps. That's the kind of pedigree that doesn't show up by accident. He came up through the Tricon Garage Truck Series program, then joined Joe Gibbs Racing's Xfinity/O'Reilly program full-time in 2025, per the Speedway Digest team profile. He drives the number 54 Toyota GR Supra for JGR, the same team that just watched Ty Gibbs win his first Cup race at Bristol a week ago. But here's what the critics said. And this is important, because it sets up everything that happened Saturday night. They said, Taylor Gray is the guy who gets spun out on the last lap. He's the guy who finishes second or third when he should have won. He's the could-have-been driver in the JGR lineup. And they weren't wrong. Per Essentially Sports profile, Gray was dumped by Christian X in the 2024 Truck Series playoffs on the verge of a win. Then at Martinsville Spring 2025, per the same profile, he was on the verge of his first Xfinity win when Sammy Smith spun him on the final lap. Per Wikipedia, at Indianapolis Raceway Park in July 2025, he was in contention of earning his first career win, leading the race until he got spun by John Hunter Nemechek with 2 laps to go. Over and over, spun, dumped, robbed, fair enough. So let's look at what he finally did with the chip on his shoulder. Here's where the story quietly turned. Per Speedway Digest's coverage from October 2025, Taylor Gray won his first ever Xfinity Series race at Martinsville, the round of 8 cutoff race of the 2025 playoffs. That win ended years of being on the wrong side of the final lap incident. That was win number 1. Saturday night at Kansas was win number 2. And here's the thing, though, and I need you to pay attention here because this is the part everyone is missing. Going into Kansas, per JGR's own Speedway Digest preview, Gray was sitting 12th in the O'Reilly Series standings through 9 races. Not a standings fixture. Not a championship favorite. He came to Kansas with exactly 1 career win on his resume, a playoff cutoff victory from 6 months ago. His best Kansas finish in the series was a 6th place in last fall's race, where he led 13 laps. He wasn't the storyline. He wasn't even the JGR storyline heading in. That was Brandon Jones, who came to Kansas with 3 career O'Reilly wins at the 1.5-mile track, 3 poles, and an 8.2 average finish there over 11 starts, per JGR's preview. But Taylor Gray has a specific weapon most young drivers don't have. His crew chief is Jason Ratcliffe. Per JGR's own Kansas preview, the winningest crew chief in O'Reilly Series history, with 58 victories. That is not a junior varsity pit box. In 16 races atop the pit box at Kansas Speedway specifically, Ratcliffe's teams have earned 1 win, 9 top 10s, and led 336 laps. Gray wasn't running solo. He had the most accomplished play caller in the entire series, telling him when to move. Let's walk the race. Per Racing News live coverage posted roughly 2 hours after the checkered flag, Carson Kvapil of JR Motorsports started on pole alongside William Byron. Green flag drops. Lap 2. Absolute chaos. Josh Bilicki spins, and in a separate incident on the same lap, Carson Kvapil, the pole sitter, flips upside down on the backstretch. The pole-sitting JRM car is finished before the race has really started. Per Racing News, Stage 1 shook out with Brandon Jones winning, followed by Corey Day second, Justin Allgaier third, Jesse Love fourth, Anthony Alfredo fifth, and Taylor Gray sixth. Top 6. Solid position, nothing spectacular yet. Stage 2 is where the real combat started. Per Racing News, Anthony Alfredo threw a huge block on William Byron. Byron rolled the top lane, worked his way back up, and passed Alfredo. Then, on lap 57, Brandon Jones, on fresher tires, dove inside and reclaimed the race lead. Lap 64. Anthony Alfredo blew a tire and slammed the wall. Caution. Jones drove away to win Stage 2. So through 130 laps, the story was simple. Brandon Jones was having one of the most dominant performances of his career. 2 stage wins. Clean track position, showing the car to beat at a track he owns. And then the final stretch happened. Per Racing News final live blog confirmation, Taylor Gray wins at Kansas Speedway. Gray caught Jones, passed Jones, and held him off to the checkered flag. 2 career O'Reilly Series wins in a 6-month span, from a driver who'd spent 3 years being the guy who almost won. Now here's the part that should make every other O'Reilly Auto Parts Series team nervous. And if you've been waiting for the punchline of this video, this is it. Stack the numbers. Per JGR's own Joe Gibbs Racing corporate website, the team has won 5 NASCAR Cup Series championships and 4 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series championships. They field 4 full-time O'Reilly entries, per Wikipedia's JGR team page. Sawalich in the 18, Cruz in the 19, Jones in the 20, and Gray in the 54. Saturday night, 2 of those 4 cars finished first and presumably near the front, with Gray winning and Jones sweeping both stages before being overtaken. Now add context. Per NASCAR.com and our prior coverage of Ty Gibbs's Bristol breakthrough a week ago, Joe Gibbs Racing just won its first Cup Series race of the 2026 season with Ty Gibbs. That was the 229th JGR Cup Series win in the team's 35th season, a franchise celebration. 7 days later, on Saturday at Kansas, Taylor Gray scored his second career O'Reilly win for the same organization. 2 first-time in career or career second wins in 8 days for JGR. A 23-year-old grandson of the owner. A 21-year-old kid who'd been spun out of 5 different near wins. Both now validated as real winners. And here's the math that should terrify JR Motorsports. Per our earlier Bristol coverage, JRM put 4 of the top 5 finishers in last week's O'Reilly race at Bristol. Saturday at Kansas, their pole sitter Carson Kvapil flipped on lap 2. The organization that dominated Bristol got wiped out inside 2 laps at Kansas. Meanwhile, per JGR's preview and Racing News' live coverage, Justin Allgaier, The JRM Series points leader, coming in with a 130-point cushion, had to battle his way through Stage 1 and 3rd and the final stages in an unclear position. That's a 130-point lead that's about to tighten. Because per Speedway Digest's preview, Jason Ratcliffe's number 54 team just gave Taylor Gray the kind of crew chief guidance that turned close calls into wins. And the other three JGR cars, Sawalich, Cruz, Jones, are all capable of the exact same thing on any given Saturday. So here's the scenario that should keep every non-JGR team up at night. Ty Gibbs broke through at Bristol. Taylor Gray broke through again at Kansas. Brandon Jones still hasn't won in 2026, but just swept both Kansas stages. Brent Cruz was top 5 at Bristol, and William Sawalich already has series wins on his resume. Joe Gibbs Racing isn't having a good month. They're quietly becoming the dominant team in the entire O'Reilly series. On the same days, they're winning their first Cup races in over a century of starts combined. So here's what I want you to think about. And I mean really think about it. For 3 years, Taylor Gray was the kid everyone felt sorry for. Spun by Ekes. Spun by Sammy Smith. Spun by John Hunter Nemechek. Leading races. Almost winning races. Never quite finishing them. Then Martinsville in October 2025. First career win. 6 months later, Saturday at Kansas. Second career win, taken from a teammate having the best race of his season. 2 wins in 6 months from a driver who spent his first 2 years in the series being NASCAR's designated heartbreak story. Is Taylor Gray going to win another one before summer? Per the JGR preview, his best career finish at Kansas coming in was a 6th. His best career truck finish at the track was a 2nd. He had never led a lap in a stage win at Kansas before Saturday. Now he has a win, Chuk's crew chief with 58 career victories and the most powerful organization in the Cup-adjacent paddock rallying behind him. But ask yourself this. If the 21-year-old who used to get spun out of every win he came close to can beat Brandon Jones at Brandon Jones's best track, on a night his teammates swept both stages, what happens when he gets to a track that actually suits him? Because the weight just came off his shoulders. And in NASCAR, when a kid this talented finally stops carrying the heartbreak, he usually doesn't stop winning for a while. Drop your prediction in the comments. Does Taylor Gray win a 3rd one before June? Like this video if you think the breakthrough is real. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you at Talladega.